Okay, well, video's not the quality I want. I'm washed out, so let's not put my face up there for too much. Anyway, I want to talk about Tallahassee's 200th anniversary, which is going on right now. There was a festival last weekend in Cascade Park where they had a reconstructed log cabin of the first Capitol building from 1824. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, Tallahassee was established as the Florida capital in 1824, 200 years ago from this recording. And of course, we know Florida was obtained as a U.S. territory from Spain, handed over in 1821. And the first legislature met in St. Augustine, the next one met in Pensacola, and it was just too difficult trying to get both East and West Florida together. So they decide to construct a capital in the center, which that's another story. Maybe I should save that for some time else. So Tallahassee was established here, and they constructed a capital which was nothing more than a log cabin. In fact, see if I can get a picture. Okay, here it is. This is a reconstruction of the log cabin in 1924, built by the local Boy Scouts. I kind of like the shingled roof on that. So anyway, it's not much. I mean, hardly looks like something you'd put the legislature in. Doesn't look anything more different than regular settler's cabin. But I think they did more business in the lobby of the hotel. The log cabin was just a landmark pretty much. So anyway, that was reconstructed this year. This is the next Capitol building. They had kind of a mix of a wooden and uh, brick building. That was the Capitol from 1826 to 1839. Would be nice if this one was still standing, but it was torn down. And the next Capitol built for the statehood in 1845. I like this picture because you can see the soldiers in the lower right-hand corner are wearing the 1839 uh, cap. So they have military uniforms that became standard in 1839 during the Second Seminole War. But this one didn't last long. And so they built what I guess you call it the neoclassical or Art Nouveau style after this one. So anyway, here's the story of the Capitol building from Tallahassee newspaper website. They got about 200 volunteers to reconstruct the cabin, and they had like a series of photographs as the construction was progressing. There's a man, I think, in Lake City who milled out the logs. He cut the logs and had a sawmill and cut them out, and did a really nice job of that building the log cabin. So this is kind of the corner. So it's no big architectural marvel. It's just a log cabin. And here it is from the front with a historical marker. When I was in this side there, I joked about using regular nails instead of square cut nails, but they were just trying to build it in haste. You kind of have to know more about carpentry to use the square cut nails because you have to drill a hole first so you don't end up splitting the wood when you're driving in the nail. But I guess this will be a permanent feature in Cascades Park near that, I guess the hotel they built on was it the west side of the park? So go by and stop it. It's open either Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon and some other hours. But anyway, you can check with the Tallahassee Historical Society website. I'm sure they have hours in that. This is a historical marker about the founding of Tallahassee. Of course, you get a new historical site, you need a historical marker. Oh, little close up. Yep. So anyway, pause it and read it if you want to. If not, let's go on. So anyway, last Sunday on the was it the November 10th, they had like the celebration of the Tallahassee 200th. And here's a group, they're a theatrical group called Theater with a Mission. They're usually at Mission San Luis. And so they went forward in history about, about 130 years for this performance. And here we have a speech given by the French Prince of Naples, Achille Murat, who was the um, nephew of Napoleon. So, and he's buried in Tallahassee Cemetery. Maybe I need to do a video on his grave too. Quite an interesting character. So anyway, I really enjoyed their performance. And of course, they're saying, keep Call in Congress. That's Richard Keith Call. And I hate to tell him, but he was never in Congress. He never got elected in Congress. He was the um, territorial governor, served 2 terms with that. This is the inside the cabin after they opened it. And by the time I saw it last Sunday, the interpretive panels were now on the wall. So anyway, it's just really neat visiting. And in the center, they have the model reconstruction that's made the traveling museum circuit of the original Capitol building. Kind of see inside, there's a table in the middle, and on one wall there's a bookshelf. I can't imagine them putting the legislature in there unless they only had about half a dozen of them. And here are the interpretive panels, and I'm not going to show them all, but of course, before 1824, then you have the Neomathalan, the Seminole Indians that lived in the area, the early Florida capitals. They talked about Governor Duval, William Pope Duval, the longest serving Florida governor, territorial governor for 12 years. And then they talk about the Treaty of Moultrie Creek with the, that's like the 1830 map in there in the green area in the center was the Seminole Reservation. Kind of interesting is that on every map they have, the Seminole Reservation's different, because it was never really surveyed that well. They kind of knew where the northern boundary was to keep the settlement apart from the white and the Seminole settlement. And in there on the right-hand side is a copy of the signature page of the Treaty of Moultrie Creek. And I made this mistake on my blog, so I can't really fault for that. That's not really the signature page of the treaty, but it's the amendment to the treaty where they made a different stipulation for the 6 reservations in the Florida Panhandle, John Blunt, and Neomathala, and Miko, and the other Apalachicola River chiefs. And of course, talking about the enslaved people. So, of course, about governor comes to town, I guess, Governor Duval. Interesting is that Governor Duval, he'd go up and visit his family in Kentucky or Virginia, wherever it was, and he'd be gone for several months just because it takes that long to travel. And so a lot of times we'd have acting governors like acting Governor George Walton from, I guess Walton County is named after him. And nearby in Cascade Park behind the amphitheater, you see this map of Florida here on the ground with the counties mapped out. And up in Tallahassee, you have the Prime Meridian. And this is an interesting spot to visit. This is the Prime Meridian right here, this plaque. This is the Prime Meridian is the center from which all surveys will be made. And the first Florida Surveyor General was Robert Butler. He was a prodigy of Andrew Jackson, ward of Andrew Jackson. His father was dying, so Jackson adopted him. And he became Jackson's adjutant and aide. He actually signed the execution orders for Arbuthnot and Ambrister during the First Seminole War. And in 1825, he was appointed the first Surveyor General of Florida. He didn't arrive on time to set the Prime Meridian. That was kind of his first job. So George Walton, he walks outside the Capitol about 200 yards and plants a stake on the ground. And from there, it was the Prime Meridian. And this was supposedly the spot where he did it. Well, according to Joe Kanish, yeah, it better be the right spot because, they were pretty accurate on measuring it out. And oops, okay, that's it. So anyway, I thought you'd really enjoy. Uh, oh, God, sorry about that. Okay, I thought you'd really enjoy my my tour of the first Capitol. It didn't take very long because it's only one room. If you ever get the chance in Tallahassee, please visit the old Capitol Museum, which is I guess, the 1902 rendition of the Capitol. The old Capitol that's still there has a great museum inside. You can go through the different chambers, and now they have historical programs inside. So stop by and see that if you're in Tallahassee in honor of the 200th anniversary. And I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry, I'm not all that good looking today, but usually I clean up before I do the video, but it's Friday night and I just came in and I want to knock this out of the way. And we'll get you another program next week. Thank you.